Indigenous history. The settlement of indigenous Californians in the modern Los Angeles Basin in the San Fernando Valley was dominated by the Tongva, now also known as the Gabrielno since the era of Spanish colonization. The historic center of Tongva power in the region was the settlement of Yanga, meaning place of the poison oak, which would one day be the site where the Spanish founded the Pueblo de Los Angeles. Ayanga has also been translated as the Valley of Smoke. Spanish rule. Maritime explorer Juan Rodriguez Cabrillo claimed the area of Southern California for the Spanish Empire in 1542 while on an official military exploding expedition, as he was moving northward along the Pacific coast from the earlier colonizing bases of New Spain in Central and South America. Gaspar de Portola and Franciscan missionary Juan Crespi reached the present site of Los Angeles on August 2nd, 1769. In 1771, Franciscan Friar Juanapero Serra directed the building of the Mission San Gabriel Arcangel, the first mission in the area. On September 4th, 1781, a group of 44 settlers known as Los Pledores founded the Pueblo town they called El Pueblo de Nuestra Senora la Reina de Los Angeles, the town of Our Lady, the Queens of the Angels. The present-day city has the largest Roman Catholic archdiocese in the United States. Two-thirds of the Mexican or New Spain settlers were mestizo or mulatto, a mixture of African, indigenous, and European ancestry. The settlement remained a small ranch town for decades, but by 1820, the population had increased to about 650 residents. Today, the Pueblo is commemorated in the historic district of Los Angeles, Pueblo Plaza, and Olivera Street, the oldest part of Los Angeles. Mexican rule. New Spain achieved its independence from the Spanish Empire in 1821, and the Pueblo now existed within the new Mexican Republic. During Mexican rule, Governor Pio Pico made Los Angeles the regional capital of Alta California. By this time, the new republic introduced more secularization acts within the Los Angeles region. In 1846, during the wider Mexican-American War, Marines from the United States occupied the Pueblo. This resulted in the siege of Los Angeles, where 150 Mexican militias fought the occupiers, which eventually surrendered. Mexican rule ended during following the American conquest of California, part of the larger Mexican-American War. Americans took control from the Californios after a series of battles, culminating with the signing of the Treaty of Gahanga on January 13, 1847. The Mexican secession was formalized in the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo in 1848, which ceded Los Angeles and the rest of Alta California to the United States. Post-conquest era. Railroads arrived with the completion of the transcontinental Southern Pacific Line from New Orleans to Los Angeles in 1876, and the Santa Fe Railroad in 1885. Petroleum was discovered in the city and surrounding area in 1892, and by 1923, the discoveries had helped California become the country's largest oil producer, accounting for about 1/4 of the world's petroleum output. By 1900, the population had grown to more than 102,000, putting pressure on the city's water supply. The completion of the Los Angeles Aqueduct in 1913, under the supervision of William Mulholland, ensured the continued growth of the city. because of clause in the city's charter that prevented the city of Los Angeles from selling or providing water from the aqueduct to any area outside its borders. Many adjacent cities and communities felt compelled to join Los Angeles. Los Angeles created the first municipal zoning ordinance in the United States. On September 14, 1908, the Los Angeles City Council promulgated residential and industrial land use zones. The new ordinance established 3 residential zones of a single type, where industrial uses were prohibited. The proscriptions included barns, lumber yards, and any industrial land use employing machine-powered equipment. These laws were enforced against industrial properties after the fact. These prohibitions were in addition to existing activities that were already regulated as nuisances. These included explosives, warehousing, gas works, oil drilling, slaughterhouses, and tanneries. Los Angeles City Council also designated 7 industrial zones within the city. However, between 1908 and 1915, the Los Angeles City Council created various exceptions to the broad prescriptions that applied to these 3 residential zones, and as a consequence, some industrial uses emerged within them. There are 2 differences between the 1908 Residence District Ordinance and later zoning laws in the United States. First, the 1908 laws did not establish a comprehensive zoning map as the 1916 New York City zoning ordinance did. Second, the residential zones did not distinguish types of housing. They treated apartments, hotels, and detached single-family housing equally. In 1910, Hollywood merged into Los Angeles, with 10 movie companies already operating in the city at the time. By 1921, more than 80% of the world's film industry was concentrated in LA. The money generated by the industry kept the city insulated from much of the economic loss suffered by the rest of the country during the Great Depression. By 1930, the population surpassed 1 million. In 1932, the city hosted the Summer Olympics. Post-World War II. During World War II, Los Angeles was a major center of wartime manufacturing, such as shipbuilding and aircraft. CalShip built hundreds of Liberty ships and Big 3 ships on Terminal Island, and the Los Angeles area was the headquarters of 6 of the country's major aircraft manufacturers: Douglas Aircraft Company, Hughes Aircraft, Lockheed, North American Aviation, Northrop Corporation, and Vultee. During the war, more aircraft were produced in 1 year than in all the pre-war years since the Wright brothers flew the first airplane in 1903, combined. Manufacturing in Los Angeles skyrocketed, and as William S. Knudsen of the National Defense Advisory Commission put in, "We won because we smothered the enemy in an avalanche of production, the like of which he had never seen nor dreamed possible." After the end of World War II, Los Angeles grew more rapidly than ever, sprawling into the San Fernando Valley. The expansions of the state-owned interstate highway system during the 1950s and 1960s helped propel suburban growth and signaled the demise of the city's privately owned electrified rail system, once the world's largest. As a consequence of World War II, suburban growth and population density, many amusement parks were built and operated in this area. An example is Beverly Park, which was located at the corner of Beverly Boulevard and La Cienega before being closed and substituted by the Beverly Center. In the second half of the 20th century, Los Angeles substantially reduced the amount of housing that could be built by drastically downzoning the city. In 1960, the city had a total zone capacity for approximately 10 million people. By 1990, that capacity has fallen to 4.5 million as a result of policy decisions to ban housing through zoning. Racial tensions led to the Watts riots in 1965, resulting in 34 deaths and over 1,000 injuries. In 1969, California became the birthplace of the internet, as the first ARPANET transmission was sent from the University of California, Los Angeles, to the Stanford Research Institute in Menlo Park. In 1973, Tom Bradley was elected as the city's first African American mayor, serving for 5 terms until retiring in 1993. Other events in the city during the 1970s included the Symbionese Liberation Army South Central standoff in 1974 and the Hillside Stranglers murder case of 1977 to 1978. In early 1984, the city surpassed Chicago in population, thus becoming the second largest city in the United States. In 1984, the city hosted the Summer Olympic Games for the second time, despite being boycotted by 14 communist countries. The 1984 Olympics became more financially successful than any previous, and the second Olympics to turn a profit. The other, according to an analysis of contemporary newspaper reports, was the 1932 Summer Olympics, also held in Los Angeles. Racial tensions erupted on April 29, 1992, with the acquittal by a Simi Valley jury of 4 Los Angeles Police Department officers captured on videotape beating Rodney King, culminating in large-scale riots. In 1992, the magnitude 6.5 Northridge Ridge earthquake shook the city, causing $12.5 billion in damage and 72 deaths. The century ended with the Rampart scandal, one of the most extensive documented cases of police misconduct in American history. 21st century. In 2002, Mayor James Hahn led the campaign against secession, resulting in voters defeating efforts by the San Fernando Valley and Hollywood to secede from the city. In 2022, Karen Bass became the city's first female mayor, making Los Angeles the largest U.S. city to ever have a woman as a mayor. In January 2025, a series of devastating wildfires caused by severe winds swept through Southern California, with the Pacific Palisades fire causing widespread destruction in Los Angeles' northwestern community of Pacific Palisades, with many calling it the most destructive in the history of the city of Los Angeles. Los Angeles will host the 2028 Summer Olympics and Paralympic Games, making Los Angeles the third city to host the Olympics 3 times.